Yeah, is it the little live thing in the corner there?
Yeah, live thing in the corner.
So, all right. So then you tell me when we're live.
We're live.
We're right now.
Again, no. You see, are we live, really?
Right now.
100%. We're totally
15
live.
seconds into it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're not live. Are we live? Okay. Hey there, boys and girls. How are you? Welcome to the original Drink and Draw Social Club. I'm Joe Quesada. I'm going to introduce you to the person who's going to introduce everybody else, Mr. Ben DeFeo.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. Lovely introduction. I really feel touched.
Was it okay?
That was good. It's
what
good.
do we do for
Keep
real?
working at it.
What are we actually on?
So, yeah, here we are on another fun, exciting, thrilling even, probably, installment of Drink and Draw Social Club. And our very special guest this evening, Mr. Alex Ross.
Woo! Panther. We'll edit that
how did this happen?
Dan is lacking on the soundtrack again. There's supposed to be a clap track in there, but he's here. Daniel Duke this evening.
That's right.
Isn't that a clan leader?
That's
my God.
Man. Wow. Jeff Johnson.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And the man with the Arby's hat, who's no longer on the screen.
There he is.
There he is. The Reverend, the marvelous Dave Johnson.
Dave's got like a cheesecloth effect on his
time. He smeared Vaseline all over the lens.
Yeah. This has been very...
Dave, no time for grooming.
Didn't they do that with Kirk during Star Trek? Did they put Vaseline on the lens?
Yeah, sometimes they do it on one side of the lens to give it a diffused sort of look, and
yeah, it's an old vaudeville trick, isn't it?
Dave has got he's muted his mic because he's watercoloring. He's going to show Alex some tips, basically.
So, Alex, thank you for joining us this evening. Apologies in advance.
Yeah.
So we'll try to be somewhat professional-ish.
Yeah.
Alex, are you drinking for the drink and draw?
I don't drink alcohol, so I will drink fluids.
Fair enough.
It's better than solids.
Yeah, that's much better.
I got a strange little drink for Jeff here.
Yeah, let me see it.
What is it? Bunny with the chainsaw. You know how you always talk about like local breweries, Jeff?
Yeah.
This is apparently a local brewery for LA.
How's it taste?
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Ow. Just hurt myself.
It's
an IPA of some kind. I'm not a big fan of. I don't even like beer, to be honest.
Yeah, I think beer doesn't like you, to be honest.
Yeah, not good. I mean, as you can imagine, this isn't a great beer.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, there goes that sponsorship.
Right. Yeah. Nicely
Thank
done.
you.
I mean, if you like IPAs, apparently I got it at Trader Joe's. They're raving about it.
Yeah, I like an IPA. So, Alex, how do you know these guys?
I don't know any of these people.
Perfect.
If he actually knew us, he wouldn't be here. We know this.
No,
it's the wonders of ransom note will do.
Almost 30 years. So, I think I met Joe 29 years ago.
Yeah, we started out almost exactly around the same time, I think,
Pretty close,
so, yeah. Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. Probably, I think I know you as long as I've known Dan. The rest of these guys, not so much.
Yeah. And then I met Dave like a year after when I started going around to conventions, and met him in Charlotte. Right, Dave?
Well, I think my first memory of you was you were writing Adam Hughes, because you were a fan, like we all are. And I remember we were all going, "Hey, who's this Alex Ross guy?" And we were looking at your art and going, "Man, he's really good." And that was before you did Marvels. So, and then we actually met later in person. But I remember being at Gaijin Studio and Adam was talking about you. So, if my memory serves me correct, that's what I remember.
Yeah. I mean, I met him when I was 22, so I was a big fan and wanted to impress my hero with drawing pieces based upon his Jungle Girl character. I think I don't know what she was called, but it was a Jungle Girl based on Sherilyn Fenn. And I thought I can draw from Sherilyn Fenn photos, and I sent them to Adam to try and impress him.
I think he hated you at first.
I think he hates me.
I remember seeing I remember seeing the artwork in the flat files in Marcus McLaurin's office back in the day.
Really?
Just seeing. I forget what book it was. Maybe it was. I forget which one. It was. I know it was Marcus McLaurin's office. That's all I remember seeing.
Wait, you saw my stuff for Hellraiser in his office?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like 1991 or something.
Yeah, that's what it would have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
A long time ago. I was like, oh, this is comic books now. This is how it looks.
Right. This is
That's what we're doing.
this is
Great.
Yeah, I hate it because the bar gets suddenly raised so high. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So hang on, Jeff.
Yes.
You usually have like 1,000 questions for our guests. What's going
Well,
on?
I do. I have lots. I have lots of questions.
I have questions, but I'm trying to leave the door open to jump in.
Should I start drawing, by the way?
Yeah, that'd be
Anytime.
great. We'd love to see
All
you.
I
do
prefer that.
so.
Dave.
So Alex, I have a question.
Alex,
for
you.
Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Damn you, Joe. So, Alex, you started drawing. So, your mom was an artist too, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jeff.
We don't talk about people's moms.
Yeah.
Well,
Mama
I think
was
it's
an
okay.
artist.
Yeah, since his mom was an artist, and you guys both went to the Academy of Art. Was it in Chicago?
Yeah, it's called the American Academy of Art in Chicago, and it's been there like 100 years. And she went there 40 years before I did.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. So, is that why you picked that school to go to?
Yeah, it was kind of an easy thing to know what you want to do with your life. You know, wanting to make comics when I was a kid. It was a clear direction of, okay, I'm drawing all the time. I think I'm going to be an artist. And my mom did this before I did. She did fashion illustration and paper doll books and whatever else. And I wanted to come to Chicago because I was down in Lubbock, Texas. And, you know, it seemed like the big city to me coming up here and following in her footsteps. And yeah, it really worked out that way. In fact, one of the teachers who was at the school still was a student teacher when she was there.
Oh, cool.
So there was some continuity of the same kind of education that we got together. I only have an associate degree in illustration, which is the same thing my mother got. Whereas now the school's accredited, so you can only go there for a 4-year BA program, and you can't get the associate program anymore.
So, you started drawing when you were super young, right?
3.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
Pretty young.
Well, is that unnatural though? I mean, don't a lot of kids start drawing around that age?
I mean, I started drawing around maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go ahead and guess that your drawings at 3 were probably better than mine at 30. Yeah.
They look like a 3-year-old drew them. You know, that's about it.
Look at just that Black Widow. You drew that at 3, didn't you?
Yeah. There you go.
You'll catch up in no time.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've drawn. Is there a character you haven't drawn? I think it'd be easier to ask that question than to try and figure out all the characters you have drawn.
Well, if you did your research.
wait, I think I can answer this. Wait, I don't think he's drawn Petal Wolf yet.
How about any real characters?
Well,
Nice.
that's a real character to us.
Yeah.
There's always somebody I haven't drawn, of course. I don't know. I was just saying to the editor I work with regularly at Marvel, Tom Brevoort, that I was going to get to do a cover with Iron Man and Stilt Man, and I think this is crossing him off my list of to-do characters, which I don't think I had ever gotten to do yet. And he thought that was weird, given my. Well, it was nice to hear there was still somebody I hadn't gotten to yet.
So are you talking about Iron Man or Stilt Man?
Iron Man. I'm sorry, Stilt Man. I've been on Iron Man for the last.
You didn't draw Stiltman? I could have sworn you drew Stiltman in Marvels. I guess not.
Did I? I
I thought
remember
you did.
Did I?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaking it. You would know better than me. Why are you questioning me? You're questioning.
No. You could entirely be correct. I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure.
Well, Alex, this leads to the obvious question. Like, out of the characters you draw, which one is the one you go, oh man, this one's just bitch to draw? Which one do you like, sort of, grin and bear because it's just a pain?
Oh, geez. Well, that would be more characters I don't like intellectually. And that's more judging what fans like and I don't care for. So I'm not a big attitude character fan. I don't like the tough, gruff kind of, like, the characters that are there for people to connect with that are, I don't know, anti-hero characters that murder people. I kind of figure like, it's no longer an anti-hero. It's a murderer.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You're basically describing Dan's entire comics career.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Pretty much. Dan lives on Conan and Wolverine.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I did my my Flash Gordon piece. Here's how you're actually supposed to draw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So I know you've done. I mean, because you've done just about everything, and you've done so much stuff, even stuff outside of comics. Like I remember years and years ago when you did the TV Guide cover. How did you get that gig? Did they call you? Did you have an agent at the time? It just seems like such a strange shift out of comics to doing TV Guide.
Are we talking about the cover I did for Smallville?
No, the Academy Award poster.
Series of them.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
Series of covers.
Wait, we're talking about the Academy Awards.
Well, there's the Academy Awards, and that same year you did the Spider-Man TV Guide for the movie.
Right. And then the previous year I did TV Guide with Smallville. They called out of the blue, and I don't think. I mean, Sal was, or you guys know Sal. He was my agent at the time, but I don't think that they reached me through him. I think that they found me through other means, and it was nice. I wish I got a chance to art direct it myself because I was pretty much corded in what they wanted it to be as far as it like looking like a superhero version of the Oscar statue, because the background didn't really have the kind of reference I needed to draw a full cityscape. It was more abstract, and I feel embarrassed by it when I look at it because I know I could have gone in and drawn like whatever reference of the Hollywood area around there. If I had a photo of it that was accurate, I could have, really gone in and detailed it, but they didn't care about that. So it was just about getting the figure right. And in drawing this chrome-ish figure, they actually loaned me a real Oscar.
Right. Wow. I wanted to ask you about that. Was it heavy?
Yeah, it was heavy, and it was real lumpy looking. Like, it's looking at it, it looks like something that's been in a mold that's been overused so much that it's got almost no form left to it. Really weird.
Did you get to keep it? That's the important part.
No. I had pictures taken with friends where they were pretending and dressing up like they were accepting the award.
Right.
Oh, that's fun.
That's awesome. Charles, I wanted to ask you because I was, sitting here drawing today and I was playing my music extremely loud, and I'm like, oh, that's a good question to ask Alex. What do you have on when you draw? Anything? Do you have the TV on? Do you play music? If so, what is it what's your preferred distraction while you draw or paint?
Usually it's being on the phone and music during the day, and in the evening I put on the TV, and then I might be on the phone with the TV on as well.
Right. What music do you listen to?
Probably what's called prog rock in most circles. So, old school 70s and a lot of modern stuff I follow too. But yeah, I'm probably your bare bones kind of rock type fan.
Well, I remember you used to be a huge Monkees fan.
I still am.
There you go. So
I still am. Got all that stuff.
Looks great.
Very cool.
Beetles, monkeys, yes, you got it.
So what are you going to draw there for us?
Is it
Whoa.
on camera or not?
Yeah, I can start to see though.
I'm drawing.
Let's see here. Hold on.
Oh, cool thing. Nice.
Oh, nice.
Let me hold it. Yeah, there we go.
Very cool.
I'm using a little statue bust to look at in the background, so instead of having photographs, I'm just looking at this thing my friend sculpted.
Nice.
So,
What's that other thing over there? That looks a little bit like a devil pig.
Dan, he showed you that earlier.
Jesus,
I know,
where have you been?
Are you not paying attention to the show, Dan?
No, I thought was that. Did he already show that?
Yes.
yeah.
Dan,
I'm getting old.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
getting old.
Dan,
Very
I
forgetful.
told you, I think you've taken too many shots to the head. It's starting to seem.
Drink and Draw, brought to you by Prevagen.
Yeah.
This is Dave's design of what's he called again, Dave?
Hector Helvetica.
Remember that, Dan? Hector Helvetica?
Yeah, but I think we talked. Did we talk about that before we went on air, though? Or am I crazy?
That's right. It was all, before we were on.
Both
air.
answers are yes.
Yes.
So I know other people haven't seen.
This has been on my desk for the last 20 years. It's my
Awesome.
I don't know, spirit animal or something.
Your totem.
So would you accredit me with your success because of that?
Absolutely. If you want to take credit, go right ahead.
Right. Hey, Alex. So you've done different sizes of art for printing, and I was wondering, like, if it's depending on how large the actual final product is going to be, do you paint at a different size, or are you always painting the same size?
Oh, it changes based upon the needs of the gig.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm usually working like say 13 inches by 20 inches. You know,
Okay.
that size of board. I mean, I've got a cover here that I can show that's midway through process that gives you a size thing. This
very cool.
This doesn't blow anything content-wise, I think, for stuff at Marvel right now. But do you get
You're
a size?
doing a book with superheroes.
I'm sorry?
Telegraph. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
It's beautiful.
And actually, I don't normally paint the logos on the covers. It's just that this one it was integrated into the graphic. And
Right.
all these lines are going to wind up, I'm going to airbrush full solid red over this logo frame. So, and the designer who scans my work for me, he'll wind up putting it in as like a processed red, so it'll be perfectly even in the printing. So
Very
that's
cool.
the size I normally work.
What kind of layout process do you go through? Thumbnails, like how tight are your actual beginning drawings?
My layout thumbnails are ridiculously tight. They're stupidly tight, but that's where I work out every kind of intellectual challenge in those early drawings, and they're shaded and heavily, they've got as much rendering as you could imagine something having just short of putting it into a final painting. But this is what I do as a step before I then go to taking photo reference and other research, building off my paintings.
Yeah, I remember early on looking at your Kingdom Come work, and then there was samples of your pencils, and then the correlating painted version, and I was just amazed at how detailed and perfect the penciled quote unquote roughs were.
This is an example.
Oh, wow.
Like that's
Ooh.
the same size. This is a copy, but this is my thumbnail for the painting I was just showing you.
Wow.
Wow.
Jesus.
Okay, I'll show you the painting again. It's just so I do this first, and then then I trace off my I blow this up in a copier, and then I go in a light box and I trace this off
Right.
to make this. So, and then while I'm working on this on the light box, I'm looking at my photo reference on the side, tightening up the drawing, and then improving it with, whatever reference I was using of, either people or statues. And I use a lot of statues as a basis for the way I'm going to realistically render a form.
Gotcha.
And you're entirely analog, no
There's another-
digital work at all.
That's right.
Oh,
This is
wow.
another sketch. That's an upcoming Iron Man cover. That's the one with Stiltman.
Oh, so cool.
That's
Yeah.
a copy, but I mean, this is the size I draw it at. So that's what I normally turn in, is that level of work.
That's stunning. So who would you say were your biggest influences when you were younger?
I think that even if you weren't focused on it, growing up in the 70s, you had to kind of be formed by Neil Adams to some great degree, because everything he did was ubiquitous in the business.
Sure.
Like he changed everything about how we saw drawing and layout. And I was very focused on influences when I was a kid of people like George Perez and Bernie Wrightson. So when I was a teenager, I went through a stage where I would copy their styles as close as I could. Just imitating every kind of stroke of the way they would form bodies and shadow with Bernie. And so I had like this sort of double sense of like, I could imitate George to a certain degree with my superhero work, but when I wanted to get serious, I would do it in a Bernie Wrightson style. And the two things didn't really have a crossover. So they would eventually cancel each other out as influences, where I'd want to find myself separate from those guys. But those were huge influences on my youth.
Well, one of the things I really love about your work, apart from just the straight up perfection of the actual drawing, is that your storytelling is really great. Like your use of camera and your movement, and you're one of those guys who creates a fantastic cinematic flow from panel to panel. Where did you? Is that from? Did you study filmmaking, or is that all from just comics and just the way you tell a story?
It's all from comics and probably some of the guys, breaking the form back in the 80s. I was initially I was influenced by probably George Perez with a lot of his page layouts. A lot of the comics I did as a teenager were aping George. And then when I got into art school, that was when Dave McKean's artwork first started coming out. And it really made a huge impression on me, the way he did Black Orchid. And
that was stunning.
Yeah.
I wanted to basically do what I saw that looking like. I wanted to imitate those elongated vertical panels and things like that. And I still will occasionally kind of translate that influence to this day. But that had a huge impact on me.
Yeah, I used to have some original pages from that book. It was stunning. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, you got rid of them?
I ended up selling them, because I needed space. It's a long story, but yeah, I ended up selling. I had a really good offer for them too, but they were gorgeous, absolutely stunning. Alex, do you collect art at all? Do you have any stuff that you treasure?
I have a little bit. I've got like a collection of some. I'm a big Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel fan, so I've got like examples of Neil Adams pieces and C.C. Beck and Kurt Schaffenberger. I've got a Steve Rude painting of Captain Marvel.
Oh, wow.
I've got a whole hallway filled with Captain Marvel stuff because I love him so much. But aside from that, I've got like my favorite cover art ever was a magazine cover from Bob Larkin on the Hulk, and it was one of the ones where he did it's a piece of the Hulk with a girl at his side in a Frankenstein type pose with a castle in the background and lightning. It's a great cover that came out when I was 8 years old, and I was able to get it off of him.
Wow.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, all of the characters that you draw, you have such a fantastic version of them. I've always loved your Hulk. There's something you do with his crazy brow and his head, and then your command of anatomy is fantastic. So you can make even his sort of distorted proportions really work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And
Yeah,
that's
do you study
by
still?
Andy
I mean,
Murphy.
do you I'm sorry, say again?
Oh, I was just saying that's all me trying to imitate Kirby.
Oh, yeah. No, it definitely shows. It definitely has the Kirby vibe to it. Do you, I mean, I know that you went to school. Do you still study anatomy and art? Like, what's your day like?
Take us.
Well, I feel like by using reference, by shooting the human form, a real body, that I'm still always in play with looking at what life will do and want to check whatever, when I do these tight roughs, it's just the setup of like, here's what my brain remembers about how to draw the human form. Now I'm going to go shoot a live subject or a statue or whatever to give me something to bounce my imagination against, and then find that middle ground between here's the way that I'm going to try and render it versus what a photograph might be telling me is the limitation of humanity or of shape and form. And, usually it enriches the work with, a nice augmentation.
Right. It seems like that you could, if you wanted to, not use photo reference, but using it always gives you that little extra plus, and you can do something you might not have thought of. That's
part of it. And also using the photo reference kind of wakes you up out of your doldrums, because when you're entirely inside your own head all the time, it's a lonely place.
It really is.
You get bored of yourself. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%. So do you still have, I know that you used to have pretty consistent models for your characters. Do you still use those same people?
No, I'm friends with the majority of them, and I can access a lot of people. But the truth is that I'll use often not old photos. I'll shoot new poses and whatnot. But I'll like my Superman model that I have used for so many things. If I need to use his face for something, I've got a life cast of him. And I'll
wow!
And light the life cast.
Does he know this?
Yeah.
Does he know it, Alex?
What?
Does he know you had that life cast?
Yeah.
Well, he obviously had it. He had to be there for getting made. So yeah.
What was that process like?
Be conscious.
Yeah.
20 years ago, I paid him $1,000 so I could get his head shaved completely clear, so that when we made the head cast, it's a perfect bald head cast of him. Every pore is in his skull and everything. And I made a video with him posing as the Earth X version of Captain America with makeup and everything to look like that version of the character I did.
Wow.
It's a weird thing. It's probably up on YouTube somewhere. But
I've seen it.
In any case,
cool.
I got that, and I'll just go and light it whichever way I need to. And of course, I've got old photos of him. I've got photo books filled with pictures of some of my models. Because, I mean, again, as I've known these people for, in some cases, 30 years, well, people have gotten 30 years older, and they don't look the same. So I've got the reference of what they have looked like.
Yeah. I mean, Dan used to be handsome when we were young.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah. There was a time.
There was a time when Dan could pick up anyone he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dan makes a mistake. He still poses for his own Wolverine, and it's not that Dan of old.
That's right. He's got to do Logan.
Yeah. It doesn't quite have the same finesse it used to.
Got to do old man Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've done so. Oh, I was just going to say, like, how many Eisners have you won? Is it something like 10 or 9 or something?
It's more than Dave. We know that.
Well, that's not hard to do.
Right.
I don't know.
Wait. Hold on. How many Eisners do you have, Dan?
Francis Francavilla let me hold his once.
I don't have any.
Well, I know you've got a bunch of Eisners, you got a bunch of Harveys. Like, what's the weight difference between those and an Oscar? Like, how many Harveys do you need to weigh as much as one Oscar?
Good question, Joe.
The Harveys are plaques, or at least they were when I got on any of them. So that plaque would be like you'd be holding like 4 or 5 of them compared to this heavy metal sculpture of the Oscar.
You must have just a big drawer because you've gotten tons and tons of awards. So what is there? It's amazing. Like just going over your career this afternoon, it was.
By the way, I haven't gotten any awards in years. Many years. Most of the last 20 years, I've received nothing. So let's put that in context, okay?
Do you think they just got tired of calling you? They got tired of feeding you free dinners?
I wasn't there most of the time when I don't know. That was the 90s. That's when I was a young-ish, whatever. So I don't think I've been in their mindset for the last 20 years.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you a question about your approach, because I mean I've seen stylistically, while you've always sort of leaned into the realism, I've noticed over the years that your palette choices have changed. There was a time there where you going sort of like very neon and ultraviolets and stuff. I'm wondering if you were conscious that you were making those changes just out of like, hey, I want to shake it up, or it was just evolutionary. What do you feel that happened? I mean, are you again? Is it strategic? I guess is what I'm saying in some ways.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Trying to push it in a way where I was infusing more color than maybe. I mean, you may remember hearing this about me or hearing it from me that I used to do more of a gray tone base for every single painting I did.
No, that I didn't know.
Start off. I would put in the blacks on a piece of art first, like it was an ink drawing, and then I would go over it with various levels of color to finish and embellish the piece. And eventually it occurs to me, well, you can begin with an initial base that's a color to begin with instead of that sepia tone or that black paint tone, and not have so much of a muddy look to your work. So I tried to remove that muddiness from my work. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And that's where
because it was really cool and an interesting change, because everything was grounded in reality, including the palette, and then suddenly you went to this sort of, I guess the way I could describe it is like it was sort of almost like a Kirby abstraction, but in color.
Was it what you were seeing me do all the time, or was it just on certain things?
No, I noticed a change at one point. I think it might have been when you came back and started doing some stuff for Marvel. Okay. I just noticed the palette had changed. You'd gone from sort of the palette that we were accustomed to in Marvels and Kingdom Come and various, beautiful posters and stuff. And then it became this sort of very vibrant color. And I'm like, that's really cool.
Oh, well, I hope it's not received badly. I mean, I'm trying to make sure that the stuff doesn't wind up regularly looking like mud.
Right. Yeah.
It can. I mean, when you begin with gray as a tone base underneath an underpainting of that, it can infect everything else where it's a little bit too muddy. That's what I was concerned with.
What inspired you to start that process in the first place? The technique of using the gray tone, the sepia tone, and putting color on top of that.
Geez. Trying to think about what came to mind at first. I mean, in art school, you were taught to paint with a sepia undertone first before, like in oil painting class, which was the only painting class I had. The art teacher, Ted Smiskevich is his name, he would teach us about doing a sepia undertone painting and then build color on top of that. And I reasoned out eventually that I can go from just sepia and earth tones to black tones because I want to get those blacks really deep and dark. And when you go from between the project of Marvels to Kingdom Come, I started using black as a base more. But then that also meant that I was using brighter colors on top of that black tone painting to shade and then build up flesh tones with maybe a Scarlet Lake red and other ones that would really bring in some nice color to it. So I was advancing this process in different ways over that time.
And when you're talking about laying color on, are you using watercolor or gouache? Like what medium are you using?
Both of those.
Okay.
Because they're basically, when I'm applying my color, I'm doing it translucently in translucent layers. So stuff is really only becoming fully opaque when you're kind of having to sort of repair something that didn't work out the way you would like. So it isn't with the objective to be opaque. It's more that gouache can be painted translucently, and you can mix the gouache paints with watercolor all that you want, and you can mix white gouache with watercolor paints and just make it, an opaque color.
Very cool. So you've done mostly designs and characters and plotting and more writing for a while now. Do you miss doing interior stuff?
Well, I'm going to start on some interiors for probably I have to call it a secret project because it hasn't been announced yet. So I will be doing.
It is not. It is not.
But,
It's not announced.
Yeah,
Sounds like it's a Marvel project.
Well, that's cool. So you're excited about doing some sequential stuff?
Yeah. I mean, it's for something I've written too. So I've written a couple of things in recent times, some short stories and whatnot. But I've needed to sort of take the reins of that myself a little bit more, and also I needed to try and do something that's testing out what I can do in black and white, meaning full rendering with black registration of, a little bit of halftone mixed in, but for me, the closest I get to doing an inked piece of art. That's what I'm going to try next.
Cool.
So cool. Yeah. So I don't think I've told the Drink and Draw the guys these stories. And actually, Alex, I don't think we've spoken since I sent you this this image. But one of my proudest moments, at Marvel or being at Marvel, came out of tragedy when we did the Heroes magazine after 9/11, and Alex did this just absolutely breathtaking and gut-wrenching cover. And then I visited the 9/11 memorial, and it was breathtaking in its scope and incredibly sad and somber to go through there and see everything. And I got to the end of the exhibit and sort of walked through these glass doors, and my daughter was behind me, still in the exhibit. When she came out, she caught me weeping, not badly, just weeping, because the final piece of the entire exhibit was a cabinet. It's sort of display cabinet. It said, "This is how New Yorkers responded and dealt to the tragedy." And I was not expecting this. I had no idea it was there, but sitting there in the case was the Heroes magazine with Alex's cover. And I took a photo of it. And Alex, I don't even think you knew it was there when I sent you the photograph. But it was absolutely, again, it was just one of those things that was so unexpected, and made me proud of the fact that, we do what we do for a living, and the fact that they acknowledged it as well, which is really kind of cool.
That is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. On that note, happy.
That was a gorgeous cover. Did you have a clear image in your head? Did you guys talk about that? Like, how did you get to that image?
I don't remember, honestly. I'm sure I did a sketch of it, but I don't remember. I don't even remember taking a photo of anybody to pose by. Gosh, I don't remember. Maybe I did take a picture for that.
And then Alex, and then you actually painted over one of my drawings for a subsequent book that we did,
right?
Also for 9/11, A Moment of Silence. That piece I have. Again, amongst a few pieces that I have original art that I keep, and so thank you for that.
Thank you for including me.
Yeah, those nice thing. That's coming out great, obviously, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Alex, are you using are you using a very, very soft lead there? What are you using?
This is not what I would normally use. This is like a basic #2 pencil,
Number 2?
and I would usually use a very hard lead that wouldn't show up on camera at all.
Mm.
And the reason I would use a hard lead is that it largely disappears when I start putting paint over it.
Ah, okay.
So it's visible to my eye. I can make copies of it, but it doesn't really work well with film like what we're doing. So
Yeah.
I mean,
We usually use
too much light on this; it suddenly disappears. You know.
Yeah, I usually draw with a 4H. Is that what you're using too?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I use a 4H. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like drawing with a needle. I love it.
That's a good way to put it, actually. Yeah.
It really is.
Alex, when you start with the smaller, thumbnail, as you call it, but it's a stretch to call it a thumbnail,
Right.
to move up in size, is there a reason that you start small when you're doing that finished of a rough, so to speak, versus just working at the size that you're going to wind up at?
I'm doing it that size because it feels like you have the most control and the most kind of intellectual distance from it. That if it's this size, if it's about, I mean, what am I looking at here? A 3x5 size. You figure like if you screw up the drawing, what the hell? You'll fix it later. You have that sense of liberty with it that you're not as intimidated by the size and everything. But then again, when you're going in on something like this, and this I'll use a different pencil. I'll actually use like a mechanical pencil, like a 0.5 or 0.7 to draw it at, and I can really get in there and do some fine detail if I need to. Just to noodle away at it, and I'm hoping to impress the people I'm sending it to, so that I get quick approval and I can jump right into the final piece.
Yeah. Yeah, Alex, is that smaller than print size or is that print size? That layout. Print size.
What do you
I'm saying, is
size?
that's smaller than actual comic size when it'll print that layout?
This 3x5?
Oh, okay, 3x5. Yes, that's smaller. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was questioning.
Yeah. I mean,
So you mentioned like wanting to impress the people you're sending it to and get approval. Has anyone not approved anything in recent memory?
oh, sure. Yeah, all the time.
Oh,
Yeah, no, but I mean, usually the issues that I get are not not a subjective thing of like they don't like the design or something. It's more about, you can't include that detail because of this or that reason. So it would always be pretty logical. I mean, I don't get a lot of negative pushback or problems for the most part. I mean, unless you're doing work for, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, when you're working for movie or video game clients, they're going to run you through your paces just because they can. They figure they're paying more for it, and they're going to have like a whole team of people judging the stuff. And that's why I generally don't like to do that kind of work. And I love doing comics because I can get right into it.
You did a really great Star Wars, Star Trek thing that I was curious about. What was that a pain in the ass to get all the likenesses through and get everyone approved?
Oh, that's not approved.
Oh.
That's a legal piece. That's just a private commission. So
okay.
I did it for the purposes of it was going to be in a VR gallery. And so you would have been just seeing these one-off pieces that I did a lot of different things with, like likenesses that we have no rights to, and properties we have no clearances for.
Gotcha. I'm so glad I brought it up.
There you go, Jeff.
Yeah, well done.
You're doing really well, Jeff.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
far, yeah.
Well, I did have one commercial piece I did involving the Star Trek cast, and I had a lot of notes I was given about the likenesses of the actors. And one of the notes I had that drove me crazy was about making them look too old. So I realized by working with the real licensed representatives, sometimes they can give you notes that just drive you crazy with like, well, wait a minute, they look this old. And they'll still tell you like, yeah, but so-and-so's got to be prettier than that. Remove these lines from their faces. Like, but those lines are there. They're really there the way I painted them. And then you've got to make these modifications because they're worried about the way that their actors might appear. Or their estates and representatives are worried.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's they're just trying to circumvent and to have to deal with or an altercation with an agent, or they're probably trying to think 10 steps ahead.
Right, or talk to the actor.
Yeah, where it may not be an issue,
Is there a likeness or a character that you find more challenging than other characters? Like your Superman is iconic. How did you have a pretty clear image in your head when you first started drawing him?
Oh yeah, because I was trying to do the Joe Shuster or Fleischer Studios version of the character.
Right.
It was a miracle as it worked out that the friend of mine I'd already been using for stuff with Marvel, the friend of mine who posed for me for both Captain America and the original Human Torch, he was perfect to draw a Superman if I just realized, well, draw his hair black. And then suddenly he looks like Superman. And I could translate his features and his eyes into that kind of squinting look for the Schuster style. And I really felt like I was connecting with this thing that had been largely forgotten, except for when Steve Rude did it before I did it with his World Finest series. It was not what was in vogue at DC, but, it was something that I was trying to reconnect the character to his roots, in effect.
Right. So, Alex, I'm going to ask you the question that Dan's chomping at the bit to ask, but he won't because he knows that I'll just torture him. If you were to use Dan Panosian as a model, what character would he be? You see, everybody's laughing because they know Dan.
Well, if you've seen the new Wonder Woman movie, I would think he'd be perfect as handsome guy.
Handsome guy.
I thought you were going to say the cheetah.
Do you remember the guy that shows up only to be the body that Steve Trevor takes over?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Jesus.
In the movie credits, he doesn't have a name. He doesn't get a name. He's only handsome guy.
Wow.
Oh.
Poor guy.
Huh.
He's only a body to use and abuse.
Yeah.
What a hellish
I'm down with
existence.
that, though. I can work that out.
Handsome guy, Panosian.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan and I went to.
Dan, you can't give yourself your own nickname. You can't do that.
It's funny that you would say handsome guy. Dan and I were at a Korean barbecue once years and years ago, and I forget what show was that, Dan?
Oh, it's like I think it was a Pomona show or something.
Yeah, some tiny little show, and we were having just Korean barbecue, and the owner of the restaurant came over, and he was so taken with Dan. He goes, "You're very handsome. You're a very handsome man," and then took the bread off someone else's table and gave it to Dan.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was hilarious.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's good times. Free bread.
And then we couldn't pay him. Do you remember that, Jeff?
Yeah, no, he was very taken with you.
But remember, we couldn't pay the guy, and we actually landed up like our credit cards didn't go through, so we had to do.
We actually had to go back.
Yeah.
Dan, I think he.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, good. Alex.
I was just going to ask, do you guys remember, Jeff and Dan, where we met?
Oh, I don't know. It's probably like a Greenberg show or something like that in New York.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of my memory.
I remember Ron Garney. It might have been through Ron or something.
Very likely, yeah.
Yeah, because I know
It's so funny. I used to love. I mean, the '90s were really. That was the shows were really the place that we got to actually hang out. Since there was, it's hard for people to understand. There was no internet yet, so you would really look forward to seeing people, and because you would only get to see them once or twice a year at these shows. And so I always really look forward to being in the bar afterwards or just hanging out.
Yeah, but you know what all that leads to, Jeff? You know what it leads to?
My psoriasis.
Coronavirus.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say no, cirrhosis of the liver. Yeah.
Alex, when you do the large layouts like your Justice League group shots and things like that, how do you lay that out with your lighting when you're using so many different? I maybe you do get everyone all in one place and light them at the same time. But just for your reference, how do you process through that?
Rarely would I ever have two models at the same place at the same time. I would just have to, imitate the lighting that I was doing to connect two people. I've had people who played couples that were never in the same room together, So I would always just sort of have my plan of attack usually laid out in sketch form and know what kind of lighting was going to guide me. And lighting is the anchor that builds a lot of the drama in the forms. And, I would just bring my own lights. And if I was going around and visiting people in their homes, I would just do my setups that would match what was in the same illustration where the two characters are in the same shot together.
It seems to be a very difficult thing to master, lighting. There's a lot of tremendous artists out there, and then when they do group shots and they get the lighting sources just all out of whack, coming from every which direction, and it really, like you say, does set kind of the drama and the mood of that image. And I've always been impressed by your ability to nail it.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I think the difference is that when you're drawing things without a computer, without the sort of perfection that can sometimes come with computer-based imagery, especially Photoshop imagery, you have a lot more ability to kind of fudge it by hand. When you draw things the way we do in comics, you can make two things seem to blend together, and even with paint, you can cheat a lot better. You can convince people that two things look like they're in the same spot when arguably they have competing lighting. It's something that the more sophisticated the tools get now with tighter rendering with computers, you can kind of reveal more the failures of where something isn't quite in the same space the same way it ought to be,
So you're all analog. Have you, is there a reason you've chosen not to do any Photoshop stuff?
Well, I don't know how to use a computer, and I don't want to learn.
Perfect.
Like that.
I have a prejudice against computers because I don't know. I just always felt like it shouldn't have to be a big part of my life, and I don't type, so my wife sends all my emails for me. She transcribes whatever the hell I have written by hand. And I don't know. It keeps me from, I don't even go on search engines and look for things. I have to ask her to do it for me. So
I think that's great.
Literally.
Yeah, it's good. Stay a Luddite. It's the way to go.
And plus, I get so much modern media in my life between all the streaming things I have access to and countless levels of entertainment that I feel like I've got so much distracting me that if the rest of my time is spent hands-on paper and looking at something that's not a lit image, it'll be better for my eyes and, I don't know, better for my health maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. I do storyboards, and the storyboards I do, I sort of have to use a computer. But whenever I draw comics, I still like to draw on paper.
How is it?
So, Alex, what's your current favorite binge show that you're watching?
Oof. Favorites. Well, you're talking about me giving an endorsement of something to see if I actually liked it. God. I like this show on Epix. That's their version of Pennyworth. Have you ever seen that?
No.
No.
It's basically like Gotham, the TV show on Fox, except it's about Alfred Pennyworth, and it's really crazy and weirdly British in all the right ways. I was just getting into a British show called Misfits. Holy!
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, Misfits was a good show. I like that.
Yeah, Misfits was great.
I just came after that because I fell in love with that guy who, he played the vampire in Preacher, and he's got a show on Hulu. Oh God, what is it called? Not Ratchet. What is it called? Jurassic. Weirdly named show, but it's an awesome, awesome show. And I was looking for anything else this guy's in. So.
Oh yeah, like the Preacher is a great show. I thought they did a really good job adapting the comic.
Joe just doesn't like anything with Garth Ennis, so he won't comment.
Fair enough.
What was that?
No, just a bad joke as usual.
Clearly.
No, the Boys is a better improvement for those guys as producers, arguably. Speaking of Seth Rogen and everybody, but I really like that actor a lot.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Preacher. I didn't like the way it was edited. It seemed choppy and weird. But The Boys is great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Casting's better in Boys too.
Oh, definitely.
Makes a big difference.
That's a nice Betty Page there, Dan.
Thanks. This is going to be for Jimmy's Kickstarter.
Oh, cool.
Dan's focusing a lot on his own art, as per usual.
I really, I like what you did there with the vinyl of the leather of the couch.
Thank you, Dan.
Joe, would you like to share with the club?
It's just a little. That's it.
That is a good looking Batman.
Finishing that Batman from last week.
What are you inking with there, Joe?
Everything.
That's it.
Yeah. So there we go.
How are the
nice.
shingles coming?
What was that?
How are the shingles?
Really nice.
Oh, the shingles. Yeah, look at this. I'm working on the shingles.
There we go.
Is that
Nice,
a light
nice.
box behind there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you just slowly bringing in the background? You're inking into it?
I'm sorry. What was that, Alex?
Are you just slowly building to the background? You're going to start inking around what's seen through your.
Yeah, I mean, I just I do basically what you do too. Except these days, instead of drawing small, I sketch everything digitally, and either finish it off digitally or then blow it up in Lightbox. So what you're seeing right now is the original digital layout. Then I'm just slowly building in ink.
Can I ask, is it straining at all when you're working on top of a Lightbox, spending so many hours with inking?
Well, I don't ink that often, but essentially I'm in front of a Lightbox all day because I do draw on a tablet. I've had no issues with it, and I get my eyes checked regularly because it's what we do for a living. And my doc says I'm pretty good. There's no deterioration and stuff. It used to be worse. Now that I use this, this sort of LED light box is a lot easier on the eyes than the old-fashioned one. It's also a lot cooler. So I'm not sitting here in my own saw.
You're not sweating.
Yeah, so to speak.
Those things used to get so damn hot.
Dan, you have the same light box, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm using one. My dad made me when I was 16, but I swapped out the lights with basically what Alex is holding.
Oh, Alex, that's the one too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I have the same one.
What did you say, Alex?
Is this the one you're using? This kind of thing here?
Yeah.
Well, it is under my old school box. My old school. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a wooden box my dad made, and it used to have 2 fluorescent bulbs in it. and they finally went out, and I just replaced them with what you have, which is basically an LED screen. You know, I got to keep my old school. It's actually bigger. Like if I had bought this as an LED light thing, it would have probably been about $10,000 or something. You know, because
9,000.
you know, it's a light and a
$9.99
and a piece of plastic. Of course, as an art supply, it's going to be tremendously super expensive. So,
But your dad's okay.
You don't find
well,
it
my dad made
strange
it, who's now no longer with us. So,
May he rest in peace.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thought I'd add that.
You know, I felt the sincerity there, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was
Well, I think I'm the only one who met him.
I've met him.
Yeah. Was it your mother, Dave, or your father who went out to lunch, and I think it was at Heroes Con, and by the end of it, they went over to you and said, "I think Dan might have a drinking problem."
I think a lot of parents have probably said that.
that's true. I do remember that.
That's funny because the last time I was in LA, Dan, I said to you, "Hey, Dan, I think Dan has a drinking problem."
Yeah, Dan has a real drinking problem. Well, when you're buying stuff like this, I mean, when it comes down to this, if that's your life,
Chainsaw Rabbit.
I mean,
Chainsaw
you got to
Rabbit.
start reassessing things.
I'm going to start looking for that one.
I don't know, Jeff. This might be a little too much for you.
It's possible. I don't know if I can handle it anymore.
Let's take a look at what Jeff's doing over here. That looks like is that like the Captain America version for DC, or what is that?
It's just a Wonder Woman.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Checking.
It's very cool.
Thanks, guys.
Very nice.
So are you inking it, Jeff? Oh, yeah. Is it? Or is that
I'm just playing around with a ballpoint pen.
Oh.
Ye old ballpoint pen.
I know,
Alex,
it's
would you ever consider using a ballpoint pen for your work, or is that just like a big no-no?
I don't know that I would get the kind of line out of that I would like.
Well, that's cool.
yeah. So is that? Oh man, that's coming out great. So you've thrown in some.
I was so busy doing the thing I was working on. I didn't get to see. Jeez, it's insane.
Yeah.
Hey Alex, here's the $64,000 question. Which one of us are you going to give it to?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of customary, Alex, that you give us something for being on the show. No comment.
Yeah, exactly. Smart. Alex is a smart man.
Alex is having technical difficulties. Yeah.
Hey, it doesn't hurt to ask.
No. Yeah, but apparently it hurts Alex to answer.
Yes, it's so witty. Thank you.
Right.
Wow. Good times.
Yeah, I love some of the crowd scenes. You know what's interesting? You mentioned George Perez earlier. I definitely the way you handle crowds makes me think of George Perez.
In font
Oh,
terms?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've done any composition that would resemble him. It's just that a lot of the drive to want to draw every single character and jam them all into one illustration comes from the disease I caught from George.
Yeah.
You know, his doing that for so many years when we were kids, it just, it was the thing of like, well, that seemed cool. I want to do that too.
Right. Like, I guess I just have to put everyone in it. That's how it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not really living or working.
Right.
Until
you've drawn Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Well, part of the thing too is that you kind of can check all these boxes off with all these characters you'd love to draw at least once. If they're all in one piece, then you went through all those guys really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Alex, I know you have a real affinity and love for certain characters. When you talked about Captain Marvel, what is there a sort of a D-lister character that would surprise people? You're like, oh, I really love character X, Y, or Z.
Like Angar the Screamer or somebody like that.
Whatever, yeah.
That came off the top of your head pretty fast.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the A's. It's right there on deck.
Oh, okay.
Ready to go. Yeah, I mean that was kind of the fun of getting to know I could do the Stiltman figure, and then it just happened to be that the action figure from Marvel Legends had just come out, but I hadn't gotten it in yet, and my wife went ahead and made the delivery order because it was sitting there waiting for me to get it shipped to me, and so I'm going to take photos of the figure just to go along with the way I shot reference already, doing the pose and everything, like just to see if I could emulate some of the way that the action figure has a very nice paint finish on it and kind of bring some of that into the painting that I do.
That's cool.
That's a weird one. So I should get more chances to do like Moon Knight or somebody like that, you know.
Oh yeah.
If only you knew somebody at Marvel.
Yeah. Well, when we started this thing, I was like, oh, at last we have Joe. Well, I'll be on any book I want. That didn't work out.
No.
No. It's definitely not how it works.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you do I would love to see you do a lot of Silver Surfer, the way you do shine and reflection and metal.
Oh, you know what? I can tell you something about Silver Surfer you should know. There's this book that we've got coming out, in next week, actually. It'll be the final issue of this anthology book I've got that the last issue has a story Lee Bermejo did for us with the Silver Surfer, and it is the most challenging, most upsettingly awesome version of Chrome ever rendered on the character.
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah.
It puts everybody to shame on it. It's so absolutely awesome. So if you check out Marvel, it's called Marvel #6 next week.
Okay.
It's worth getting for what Lee did, and I would almost say I'd never draw him again, but that's not true.
Right.
Yeah, no, it does. I've seen the image. It does make you just go, screw it. I'm not going to draw this guy.
I actually, because of the quality of it, I asked Lee if we can just, because he was showing it to us in the stages of his black and white rendering before he would normally put digital color on it. And I said, please stop. If we print this as is, it'll be so striking in just gray tones that nothing added with color will enhance it as much as what it looks like right now. So the story's going to be in full black and white.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see that. Damn.
Uh-oh, Jeff's speechless now.
Well, I mean, I love drawing the Surfer, but drawing the Chrome, it's always a challenge. Drawing him that metal shine, it's one of the things that sets the character apart, but also it's one of the things that makes him really hard to draw. I look forward to seeing some guy do it in a way that made Alex impressed.
Well, I mean, everything I've done has all been using the toys and the chromed up stuff that actually you can physically look at and reference. I mean, years ago we did a bust that was released. God, I forget if it was Upper Deck that released it, but it was fully chrome of the head sculpt. It was a life-size head of Silver Surfer, and I've used that as reference for the character. And I've used metallized toys that were made back in the 90s, actually, where they did that electroplating thing with him.
Oh yeah.
And any painting you've seen me do has been from lighting and studying what the photographs reveal about that. So I get off on looking at that stuff for what it teaches me about the real reflections that would happen in chrome on that form.
Alex, have you ever been? I know you've like Joe said, you worked over like some of his pencils and you turned it into a painting. And have you ever done any sequentials where like sometimes they'll find a lost issue or breakdowns from like someone like Gil Kane or something like that, where you get to go over someone? Is there an artist that you've worked on that was like an old school artist?
Well, I did work over Gil Kane twice, actually, but not on interiors. I did 2 different covers with Gil, I believe just before his passing. In fact, it was one of the last things he worked on was a couple of these issues of, what was it called? Legends of the DC Universe. And it had a story with Adam and Green Lantern that I got to do 2 different paintings over his physical pencils. So yeah, that one was very direct as a relationship. Other ones I've worked on, like paintings I've done over Kirby's pencils or over John Buscema, who I did work with directly, but I didn't work on his physical art. He did the layout on a separate sheet of paper, and then I photocopied that and blew it up to the size that I would follow his exact shapes and forms to illuminate it or render it out, however you want to describe it.
I think I'm looking at it right now. I'll bring it up.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Well, you know what? I'm the type of guy, Jeff, that will make that happen for you. Hold on.
I mean, that's why we're friends.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Here you go.
The piece I did over Kirby is a Captain America one that came out pretty well. It's a famous pinup he did back in the Steranko History of Comics. You probably know the piece. Right? Oh, and that's the sketch done by Buscema for that piece. It was just those single figures there with a white background, and I tried adding some visual element that would seem to unify, to sort of add some sort of energy coming from one central point. But it's not a real perfect combination of talents there, because I mean, I try and learn from Buscema's stuff on other. Oh, there you go. There's the other one.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
What's nice about that is you kept all the anatomy, but all the rendering and modeling is like just on point.
And
really
believe it or
cool.
not, just to go crazy with it, I actually had my Superman model, who I was shooting for other stuff anyways, do that pose for Captain America, just to get the certain kind of shadow lighting on the body, so that I could, import that into Jack's pencils without changing the pencils.
What about like Bruce Timm? I remember seeing some designs you did with Batman stuff where you were like, did you ever? I think you did kind of. You colored one of Bruce Timm's, didn't you?
Yeah, there was a cover that we did together for the DC adaptation comic of the Justice League show. It was Justice League Adventures. So there's been a lot of prints made of that image. You probably have seen it. It came out okay.
I got to pull it up. I just found it. That is such an amazing piece too. Great. That
Oh,
yellow.
yeah, I remember that piece.
Yeah.
And all he did was a sketch on some piece of paper, and I just got a copy of it sent to me and blew it up to the size I needed, and then traced over the pencils to follow his shapes exactly the way he left them. But I think he did a final inked version for his sketch. And like I said, I never physically had to get a hold of the physical artwork. It wasn't necessary for what I had to do.
God, I love that rim lighting on Batman's leg there, where you just left it, the light from the explosion. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, not that you would look for it, but Alex actually, aside from the 9/11 pieces that we did, actually,
Oh boy, there we go. All right.
Alex actually painted over a Daredevil Spider-Man piece that I'd done. It was a wizard cover.
It's funny. Not a lot of people are asking for that one.
Are they? But I'll tell you, it was thrilling and disappointing at the same time. The disappointment was how much she actually kept an actual drawing. But it was really, it's like I was floored at Alex's ability. Alex, I'm talking about you like you're not here. So
Yeah.
I was floored at Alex's ability to actually, it looked as if I had painted it in some way, but with Alex's skill level.
That's impossible because, wait, can you paint?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I have painted it. You know that. But Alex, don't worry about it. These are the normal noises here. Dan is upset at me today anyway. So, he's...
He critiqued cover of mine.
You know what? I broke my own rule. It's my own fault, Dan. I broke my own rule.
Hey, remember you said I will never give a critique.
You're right.
unless I
You are
ask for it.
100% right. I broke my own rule. And so
I didn't ask for it at all.
no, you just send us all your artwork so
Yeah,
that we can
I
all
mean-
be silent about it. So
There it is, Joe.
I will. No, that's not the piece I'm talking about. But that is one of the pieces. But that's not the Daredevil Spider-Man that we did for Wizard.
Oh no,
You know, I remember.
I couldn't find a good copy of it.
Joe, when we were working on that, I remember you turned in a number of layouts, and Wizard made you kind of go through the paces on it. Like they were giving you a lot of direction about it. Isn't that right?
I honestly, I don't remember, Alex. You know, I really don't.
There's that Spider-Man piece. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you guys are talking about this one instead.
Yeah.
Hold on. Well,
Yeah,
that
that
is
is the
new
one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I left the background. You know, I didn't do a damn thing on the background. And I think that was part of the directions. Just Alex go to town and he added those sort of vertical rays and stuff. It was really cool.
What's this?
Thank you.
What about this one?
I didn't do that one. That's not me.
I like that one a little bit better.
Yeah.
Man.
Tough room tonight. Tough room.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough room.
It's okay. Listen, unlike Dan, I don't have to defend my art.
It's true.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh,
you know, I'm good.
ooh, ooh.
Ouch.
Good.
That one kind of hurt a little bit.
Yeah, it was meant to. It was meant to. That one, I didn't throw that as a glancing blow, Dan.
No, that was
Put it for a reason.
that's a lot.
Yeah, that was you know, that had some sauce on it.
That was you rolled a 20 on that one. Double damage. Wait a minute, Alex. Did you ever play Dungeons and Dragons, or did you just not have time for that nonsense?
I tried it once. I didn't quite get it. So
Yeah.
I was not invited
Smart
to
man.
the reindeer game often.
Yeah, Dave Johnson and Joe thinks it's like for children, and
No, I didn't say it was for children.
I never said that. I
said
just said
something
it didn't like
I just said it was not for me. Because I'm not a child.
oh, see, there it goes.
Yeah, that's the ticket. So, Alex, do you have any shows that you're gonna? I mean, I know that we're still a ways away from doing that. But are there any shows that you particularly missed? Do you like when you used to go to a fair amount, right?
No.
No, not me.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely. Well, I shouldn't say I'm afraid of shows. Like I just don't. I don't know. They don't. It's a weird thing when you've met everybody you wanted to ever meet, and you kind of go like, "Yeah, I'm good." I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't sound very encouraging when it comes to shows, unfortunately.
Wow, look at
So
this.
you just stay at home making art.
Jesus. All right, here's the step-by-step. You know, a lot of times we want to give some of the viewers, their aspiring artists, or and this is kind of a how-to. Just do that.
Yeah.
Done.
Yep. That's it.
Those aren't. By the way, those are not the pencils. That's like the image on the side of that graphic. The pencil side. That's my sketch that was at a much smaller size, and so then I would blow it up, and then the paintings were like 28 inches tall figures. So
superimposed on there.
yeah, so that graphic is just kind of a weird. I forget who made that, but it's not what I draw like.
Oh,
Not really.
okay.
It's not the real pencils
Jeff,
that were at the size. So
Joe actually sent that to me and told me to put it up. So don't shoot the messenger. Jeff, this is for you coming up here.
Yeah.
This is for Jeff because Jeff's a big Iron Man fan. Actually, you know what? Joe used to write Iron Man. Did you wrote? Hold on, here we go.
oh yeah.
Another great one.
All the reflective.
Yeah, do we not have any questions for Alex?
We've
I have
answered.
a question. Oh, you mean
I'm sorry. I would normally be asking more questions. I just got distracted by watching him paint.
I'm talking about the audience out there.
Oh.
Here's a question. No, that's high. Sorry.
Way to go, Dan.
A lot of that going on. You teach me how to draw comic. Oh, this is from early. Hold on.
Now, it's what happens when Dan gets done drawing.
So, Alex, you mentioned earlier that you've written and you're drawing something, a secret project. Do you like the writing side of stuff?
Well, I haven't had enough experiences really writing full scripts for anything. And in the case of the thing that I'm building towards, I started with layouts because I'm going to be drawing it. So I laid the entire project out, and then I wrote my caption notes along to just the drawing. So I didn't have to go through all the rigmarole of writing out panel descriptions for somebody else to follow. They can just look at the finished sketches and follow along with the representative dialogue that would match each panel. So I made it so my submitted script was basically a listing of lines that the characters would read and any other captions. So, but without the time spent to have to embellish and set a scene that a writer would normally have to do, because I did that visually.
Gotcha.
All right, I think somebody had a question. It's Mitchell Coleman. Have you even ever painted Godzilla?
I have. I did it for IDW once, and I got the flame wrong. Did the I drew the flame to look like normal flame coming out of his mouth, and I totally did not know the character well enough to understand that his tail is supposed to glow when he's about ready to let loose.
Did Arthur Adams call you up and?
Come on, Alex. Come on, man.
I just Arthur Adams would call up and scream at you.
I mean, that was rookie.
Yeah. I felt embarrassed. I felt
Foolishly.
I wouldn't like people to know how little I know some of the characters I've gotten to do. Yeah, I want it to seem like I know this stuff backwards and forwards, but I don't always.
Are you guys familiar with one of our listeners, Ben? This is Julian.
I've heard of this guy.
Yeah, Julian wants to know if you've ever drawn what's your favorite Franco-Belgian comics character?
Oh, like
is there more than one?
Pepe.
Have you ever drawn Asterix?
Have I drawn him?
Yeah.
Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
No, I've never drawn Asterix. No,
That's too bad.
I'm sorry. I've watched some of the cartoons once. That's about it.
That's good enough.
That's more than me.
Yeah. No. Okay, let's see. Is Alex doing old school sable brush and India inking on the thing? I imagine he is.
This is
What
not
is the brush? Is it a Winsor Newton or a Raphael?
This is a Winsor Newton Series 7 brush. This is a number 4 I'm using.
Oh, number 4.
And,
wow. Are you inking the black with the number 4, or are you doing the gray tones with the number 4?
I'm using just the number 4 on all of it, and
The whole thing. Wow.
This isn't gray tones. It's like it's kind of like a rough. It's all black. It's like it's not a full half tone. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. No, I mean, because we hadn't seen it, I didn't.
Wow.
That's really nice. Thanks, Alex.
Man, that came out great.
Clear that is. That's not. Yeah, there's no soft fade in there. It's all like scumbling with the black, so it's kind of a stippling effect.
Mm-hmm.
See,
yeah, I can't wait to get it.
If you're not getting it, you're not getting the drawing.
Subtle.
We never get this sort of thing. Tonight's episode was legit intimidating. Great work, guys. I'm reading that because we don't have closed captions, so I'm trying to help out.
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
And this isn't ink. I'm using gouache paint for doing the blacks. I'm just using jet black for this because I'm intimidated by ink being almost something I can never get up. Like if I hate something I've done here, I can use water on this and pull the paint up a bit.
You can lift it up. You can lift up gouache like that.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Wow.
With the oh, I see a comment on my screen.
Yeah, it says, Alex, can you talk a bit about the giant mural you did for Marvel headquarters? What was the process, and was it more daunting than other projects?
I would say it's not more daunting because I could do each one of those figures, which, like I said, they're 28 inches tall. I could do one of those a day, just about. Some of the more complicated ones would take me a day and a half. But so that means for the number of figures, which, oh gosh, it was over 30. It's like 35, 36 figures total. And
Wow.
Once I cleared my schedule up and I was able to really forge into it, I was able to get through the list of figures pretty fast. The problem is that when I did that project, it was started and then stopped and put on the back burner because I did this comic we did for the anniversary of Marvel's where we revisited the content and I did a brand new story with the X-Men in it and everything. So I had to stop for a while and focus on that storytelling pages for Marvel instead of finishing the mural. But
I'm going to show the mural.
Sorry?
Let's take a look. Here we go.
Wow.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, I've never seen that photo before. That's awesome.
So that's direct on the wall?
The pandemic to shut the offices down.
That's the thing. None of us have seen it because we haven't been back to the office. Seriously. It literally happened as COVID struck.
Oh, what a great surprise everyone's going to get.
Whoops, that image isn't as good as this one. Sorry.
Man.
So that's actual paint on wall.
No, that is not paint on wall. That is
Oh.
35.
Dave, come on.
It could.
No, come on. Sorry, Alex. I hate infighting. This episode's about you, but Dave sometimes really sears my ahi. If you will.
I thought I should. So did me.
You know, James Dean would have done it paint on wall. You know, I'm just saying.
Uh-oh. A little bit of a call out there. Wow.
Yeah, looking at the
for on Ethereum, you know.
Yeah.
great thing is the texture of the rocks you do on the thing are brilliant.
Thank
You
you.
really nailed that character.
Now, this is what I was thinking of doing for interior work, that this is the kind of art style, if this will look good with flat colors on top of it, that
I think it would.
Decent enough looking version of my work in a comic book. Because I've done only one comic before that didn't have full painting in it. And the problem is the colors, which were really well done, were modeled enough that you kind of would wonder looking at it like, why didn't you just paint it? If you're going to shade the figures with the rendering in the coloring, why is it done with ink line or this process? So the next way I want to try to see if I can do almost old school flat colors, kind of like what Jack Adler did over Neil Adams.
Mm.
You guys know what I mean when I say that?
Are you saying? I guess because you're putting the grayscale in there, it's a lot of the work is and the shading is done for you, and then you can kind of enhance those. Yeah.
Well, if you just have flat color interacting with the figure, then the drawing and the rendering that I'm putting in won't be fighting with anything else, or it won't be blending with anything else. It'll just be seen for its raw state in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you already have a colorist selected?
Well, I'm thinking I'll do layouts for colors, like probably take copies of everything and then just go over it with markers, kind of indicating where I want these color placements to be. And if it looks good, then it'll just be a colorist basically following those guides and placing that work.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I'd love to see that.
It's just going to be an experiment. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm going to try.
Well, you have some hits and you have some misses, Alex.
Great.
Thanks, Dan.
Dan's not getting the thing either.
After that comment, I'm not getting it. Very, very cool. Jeff's still going in there with the ballpoint pen, not giving up.
No fear. I noticed you have the whiteout pen out there, though, Jeff.
Yeah, always.
We'll see the whiteout. What brand do you use, Jeff? This is important.
Yeah, is it?
No.
Yeah. It basically, there you go,
It's
Dan.
what?
That's all. That answered the
Is
question.
that a Bic? Is that a Bic?
All right.
This drawing
Dan,
brought to you
you're being
by.
very mean today.
You know what? Alex is using gouache and doing all sorts of interesting things, and you're using like Bics and a pen you stole from the bank.
Yeah, exactly. I like to just use found materials when I'm drawing.
I guess it's all renewable sources.
Yeah.
I love
Sorry,
it.
Ben. Sorry. You know what, Ben? I haven't talked to Jeff in about a week, and usually I get this all out from like.
I don't know why you're apologizing to me. It's Jeff that has to deal with it.
Oh, I'm not really listening.
I'm not trying to compare, Jeff. That's what you're getting at.
Terrible.
Just always taking the brunt of it.
Look at Joe going to town. Those shingles. What do you care to speak on that any further, Joe?
Yeah, I was looking at this drawing last week and I wasn't really crazy about it, so I decided to add shingles to it.
Yeah, but
There you go.
all right. Okay.
What is there more of a story to this?
No, I guess not.
No, there's no story to this.
They really tie the drawing together.
All right, yes. So I didn't like the idea of shingles originally. I started it. I didn't like it. Didn't think it was working. And then Dan suggested, without knowing that I'd tried shingles, said, "Why don't you add shingles?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I didn't really care for it, but all right, I'll try it because I'm open to other ideas." So I tried it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it was just the way the kind of shingles I was doing, the size of them, and I altered it. And now I'm happy with it. So thank you for the suggestion, Dan.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I like the kind of old school buildings. I think those work well for Batman.
Well, Gotham's an old dirty place.
To like futuristic buildings.
But yeah, I mean, it's Alex. You're saying Gotham's kind of dirty.
There you go, Alex. Put some shingles in there, and if you like the shingles, it's mostly because I suggested them.
Has there been a straight edge used in inking any of this just yet?
What was that?
Have you used a straight edge on any of the inking you've done there?
No, not in an organic building like this. I mean, I did in the layout. I did like you can see here in the layout. I use a straight edge for the metal work, but I'm going to just freehand it.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's see again. What parts did you use the straight? Oh, for the.
You see the shingle work here?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna straight edge it when I ink it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna let my trembling hand sort of
Right.
reveal it. It will tell you how much caffeine I've had today. So,
are you going to add a yellow outline around Batman's symbol?
That'd be nice.
The target.
nah, just like the bat. Are you just a bat guy, or you like the yellow?
It's that goofy thing they're doing now with the it's like a yellow line surrounding the black.
Oh
bat.
yeah.
The highlighter border.
But
it's funny because I hate. I usually don't complain about costumes and stuff like that. Everything's got to change and stuff. But I just never been a fan of Batman in armor. Never, just can't get my mind around it.
Oh yeah.
It's like that's part of the thing, right? Is that he can get his ass kicked and end up in the infirmary like the rest of us. It just sort of takes the human aspect out of it for me.
There's a period they
Well,
put shin guards on Superman, so anything's possible.
That's true.
Part of the practicality of it that never comes into play is just how heavy armor is.
Yeah.
It would completely affect anybody's movement if you actually don't have it carried by its own exoskeleton like Tony Stark's supposed to, But
Right.
Not every character should be Iron Man.
No.
Well, does Black Panther wear armor?
His suit is coated in vibranium, so in a way it does. So yeah. But I always thought that's what made Batman and Daredevil so badass, right? Is that they just go out there in these leotards, and there's probably a touch of masochism in them. They want to feel the pain. I've always found that interesting because that's kind of what life is like for me at Drink and Draw.
True.
Nice.
There's no armor against Dan's barbs.
No, especially when I'm done with the drawing and I'm just kind of goofing off. And
Now
Right.
you have to care about those barbs. But,
Yeah.
So it's not for the weak. Not for the weak of will.
So Alex, I have one last question for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I know you draw all the time.
Waiting.
Yeah. Do you have a hobby besides drawing that you do that get away from the table?
Well, it doesn't get me away from the table, but like I do occasionally do some sculpture, and usually it's to make the kind of reference that I'll use in my artwork, like sculpting the head of a certain character. Like I didn't sculpt this thing head, but I've worked on some of the other life-size busts that I've had involvement with. Like I've got a life-size Iron Man helmet that matches the way I'm drawing the character design for the book, and I've used that as reference. The Hulk, when I drew him for the 50 issues I did of that, that was based upon my lighting and referencing from a head sculpt I did matching the Kirby art style. So I had it in full 3 dimensions and I could turn it around and study it different ways. So I'll do that occasionally. And, it just sort of gets into the whole thing of collecting toys too. So you like to collect toys, you might like to mess around with sculpture as well.
Yeah, I have your Spider-Man head bust here that I use from time to time.
Oh, cool.
Because that webbing on the face is always a pain in the ass.
Yeah, that is a pain.
It's like
so
good.
I was gonna say, so you're a huge toy collector too?
Oh yeah. I've got a whole. I've got the basement and the upstairs rooms filled with a lot of displayed toys, and I've got like a dedicated, display room.
As one does.
Excellent.
Do you leave them in the packaging?
Dave has that one drawer.
No.
Right. So what got you into collecting toys? What was your first one?
First one. Geez. I mean, you mean like what I got as a kid? That kind of.
Well, yeah. What sparked the
weirdo question?
I was just saying, like, what got you? Because I mean, we always talk about starting What was your first comic, right? What got you into collecting toys?
I think from when we were kids. I mean, because I think we're in that similar age group here. Like the first thing you would get back in the '70s would be the Mego Spider-Man.
Yeah,
that was the creme de la creme. That's what got us all sparked off, or maybe the Mego Batman, depending on your taste. But like I love all those kind of dolls of that size and category. But the thing that I started getting more serious as a collector with is when I was able to buy the 1939 wooden Superman doll. That was like the first piece of superhero merchandise ever made. And when I got it, it was only like $300. But for me, being in my early 20s, the idea that I had $300 that I could spend on discretionary indulgence,
right,
was exceptional for me. And that once I had that, I felt like a real toy collector,
I had this one, Joe, if you care.
The Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people know, but Alex actually has life-size. What was it? Who made them? The Wax Museum people.
Actually, the guy who you wouldn't. This is a weird reference. The guy who designed the Shape of Water, Gillman guy, whatever you call that character. He made these life-size statues based upon my art style versions of Superman and Batman that I have in my display room.
Yeah, they're amazing.
And they look very real, and they've got with the Superman, he's got real rooted, plugged-in hair into a wax head, and he's got glass eyes and the whole thing. So
you've got Superman, Batman, and do you have a Wonder Woman yet, or I can't remember?
I do have a Wonder Woman. He didn't make it. I bought it from the Philippines, and it's fiberglass, and it needs to be kind of refurbished to look more realistic like the other two do. I've got a Captain America that I made based upon kind of a life-size. I took the cast of my model's head for Superman, and then I worked a sculpture of a mask on top of that, put glass eyes in, and made it look very realistic. And it's actually photographed in the art book that I have based upon my body of work for Marvel called Marvelocity.
Yeah.
If you've seen that.
Do you still have the old, was it a Studebaker that you turned into the Batmobile?
Let's ignore that. Let's forget about that part.
That was a cool car.
It's a step too far now, even for Alex. Step too far.
All right, Dave. Now you've ruined it.
Oh, jeez.
This is a friendly conversation, and now here we are.
There you go. There you go.
Well, Alex, it looks great. So you've practically finished that thing.
Yeah, that'll look great
I'm
on
just using a China marker to finish it off and kind of, give the sort of illusion of stippling.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow.
Sorry.
Jeez.
That's
There we
perfect.
go.
Damn, that came out great.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So, and this is actually translating the influence of, like, there's this old pose that John Buscema did, and I was thinking about just the physicality, the body shape, and I thought I'd imitate that, but reverse the pose facing us, So this is what I was looking at for just inspiration.
Wow.
Right.
Good times.
Could use a little bit of ballpoint pen, but other than that, it looks pretty sharp.
Man, I gotta find a China marker somewhere. I need to up my game.
They use them in
I
antique
have
stores. You can go there.
Can I throw out a question for Joe?
Sure.
Sure. Let's wait. I wish we could get Joe's face because I want to see the shock.
All right, hang on. You want me to check? Oh, give me a second here.
Hold on.
Let's see. Where is it? Share. No, that's not what I wanted. You want to see?
By the way, Alex, do you recognize the guy that keeps popping up in the top right?
Oh yeah, we were talking about that before. Albert Dorn. Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great.
Handsome man.
Good, Alex.
Yeah, he's our sensei. He's our spirit animal. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, here's
so I have
Joe.
a question that I'm passing along from a friend who asked if I could ask you this, and it's just a Marvel general stupid question. So forgive the fan indulgence here. The old Fireside books that came out in the 70s, those ones with the great painted covers from back then?
I do. Yeah.
Any chance at all those ever could be reprinted?
I'm not the last person to ask about the reprint stuff. But I don't see why not. I mean, Alex, ultimately all this stuff is, it's a matter of like somebody at Marvel sitting around saying, can we sell it? Will it sell? So any of this is possible. And actually, have you mentioned it to Tom Brevoort at all? Because, you do have, the encyclopedia of Marvel right there at your fingertips.
True. I just figured that it might be an issue regarding rights, like who owns the Fireside stuff now?
It could. It could very well be. So, sometimes stuff like that turns up. Even today we were having a meeting and it was about, actually, I can't tell you what it was about, but it was about this kind of thing, right? Where we're just being told, hey guys, X, Y, and Z, we shouldn't go near this right now because there are some legal things that are happening that just came up and stuff. So stuff like that happens all the time.
Right.
It's constantly shifting, and then things get settled, and we go to town again. But I couldn't tell you if it was legal. That I honestly would not know.
You've never heard anything about
Terrible
people ever
answer.
saying, "Oh, it'd be cool to get that back in print," that kind of thing.
Nope. But it doesn't surprise me. Stuff is cyclical,
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you for
All right,
answering. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was a great answer, Joe.
Thanks, man. Hey, Dan. So, Dan, do you have the answer, Dan?
I was thinking about it. Hold on, I have a question.
Who's it for?
It's for Dan.
What do you think of this one? I guess this is an Alex Rock statue.
Wait, is it a question for me?
Yeah, I mean, they get the backs of these things right because I mean, typically you're drawing them from the front.
Wait, what am I supposed to answer?
Dan is always such a jerk when he finishes his drawing first.
Dan wants to know, Alex, why you're always drawing characters from the front and not from the back. Like you should.
Well, I mean, John Buscema drew that thing perfectly from the back.
Yeah.
Take it. So, no, I just found this random image from the back. I just thought it was bizarre that that would even be up, but there it is.
Oh, they don't have the front image up there?
No, I don't know. Let's see what else I can find up here.
That's like $1,000 statue, I swear to God. It's really
Wow.
Yeah, because the scale is like a 1/6 scale, so it's huge. And it's the whole group of those figures from the bust up. And
I think I'm looking at it right now.
They were supposed to do the same painting that I did of the Justice League. They were supposed to do that, and I don't think it ever got solicited.
I think this is it. This might be the same one from the front. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it here. Sorry, Joe. I know you don't like dead air time.
Was it? Oh, right.
Here we go.
When you take over the show, I expect
Yeah,
that.
that's one.
it.
Yeah.
Yep,
Cool. So that's the back of it, and this is the
that's
front.
the same piece. Yeah, that's. I mean, the
Wow.
camera shot is super close in on it, but you get the idea about how it's 3D. And it's a good looking piece. It was sculpted in 3D. It was one of those CAD programs.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously it was sculpted in 3D. I mean, it was sculpted in a 3D computer program.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So Dan, why don't you ever show the sculptures they based on your Marvel stuff?
Well, I mean, they've thought about it. It's been up for discussion quite a bit. I think they're working on it. I'm going to say that.
I haven't been at those meetings. I must have missed it.
I mean, there's been a lot of discussion. They just want to get it right. And I keep, I'm a stickler for
Right.
detail. I'm like, no, change this or add more clay. That's my go-to. It's like more clay right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Well, hey, gang, we've been on for almost 2 hours, so
all right. Well,
I'll keep Alex on all
All
night.
right.
let's
He's
take
gonna
one
go.
more look at Alex's thing.
Yeah, I think he's
I mean,
Wow.
Oh,
awesome.
Beautiful. All right.
yeah. I have to say that watching you do that was it left me a little bit. I did have a lot of questions, but I just got distracted watching you draw. It's so cool.
Yeah.
so that's
Thanks,
like,
Alex.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say thanks so much for coming on. And I know it was,
It's a tough show to do.
it's a tough show. If it was just me and you, I think it would have gone a little smoother, but
It was pretty good for like the first hour, 20 minutes.
Thanks, Ben.
About the time Panosian got done. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Oh,
need
that
to
was
edit.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Ben, you want to say anything like what you've grasped and learned from this episode and maybe impart it on like the viewers?
I'm glad I never tried my hand at art because watching Alex work there was pretty humbling. It's great watching you guys piddle through things on a weekly basis, but watching that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, imagine how we feel right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times.
It's terrible.
Next week,
Well,
Jeff
Alex,
will be using a crayon.
Yeah, next,
Yeah,
next week.
I'm a China marker and an old pen. So, Alex, when can you talk about your special project?
Well, should be soon, although there'll be nothing to show because I have to start it. So,
Oh,
right.
I mean, whenever you get approval for something, you can say somebody's about ready to start something, but why do that until you actually have artwork?
to
So,
show.
and
Well, whatever
of
it is,
course,
I'm
I'll
looking
never be
forward to
in
it.
charge of that.
Yeah. Well,
So,
thanks, Alex.
happy for moving along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suggest next week we pick a guest that's not so good.
Kick it down a
He
notch.
kind of backfired on us, guys.
Yeah.
Backfire.
That was an education.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, thanks for coming on, Alex. That was great. It was great talking to you. It was great watching you draw and great hearing you talk about everything.
And
It's
you're
great
not a
to see
bad
some
guy either.
changes. It's
You know,
good.
Jeff has plenty of leftover questions, so we'll just interview you without you being here next week.
Yeah.
Get through Jeff's questions.
And we'll just make up answers for you.
Oh.
Dan, would you like to pop your piece up for one last view here?
Wow.
Let's see. I have to do all the camera stuff.
Oh, all right. It's too much.
I think I've hogged it enough.
Too
I've
much.
jabbered quite a bit.
We'll be on Twitter, folks. You can see it
Yeah.
there.
All right.
So, everyone, thank you for being with us this evening. Alex, thank you very much for sharing your talents and your time. And everybody stay safe out there and take care.